Friends in a Podcast. We're so glad you're here. We're your hosts, Natasha and Lindsey. It's almost Friday of the week. We're almost there.
It's Monday.
I know, but I only have to work 2 more days. So tomorrow is my Friday Eve. Wednesday is my Friday, and that is how I'm approaching this week.
Okay, no, that makes sense. And actually, you're right, because tomorrow's the only day I have to work this week. I had today
See,
off.
tomorrow is your Friday.
And tomorrow's my Friday. So I
Yeah.
understand. I thought you meant like actually Friday. And I was like,
No.
friend, it is only Monday.
I'm not trying to rush the week that way. I'm trying to rush the work week. So I have only 2 more work week wake ups and only 2 more work days.
That's great. I'm so excited for you.
I cannot wait to be on a mini vacation and doing all the things. Are you doing anything fun for Thanksgiving?
My family's coming over and we're all getting together and there's going to be pie. So
I love pie. When this episode releases, it will be post Thanksgiving, but I'm going to DC and I'm so excited for that.
I'm super pumped for you. I love DC. What a great city to spend time in.
Beautiful.
It is great. Is it going to be warm there?
Ish. I think it's going to be in the 50s and a couple days in the 40s, but I'll take it. It's fine.
When I woke up, it was 28 degrees this morning. So 50s sound wonderful.
Ice on my windshield. I'm not ready for full on winter yet.
Nope. Me either. But here we are.
Here we are. Well, I'm excited for today's episode. We are celebrating 1 full year when this episode releases.
That's so crazy.
Podcasting.
I don't even understand how it's been a whole year at all. But also, how has it been a year? Like, it also feels like it's been much longer than a year because we've been able to do it for so long now that it's like part of our routine. So I don't know, like it's both ends of the spectrum, I guess.
I agree. Sometimes it feels like just yesterday that we were collaborating over what we were going to do, sitting in a Barnes and Noble, talking about the plans or going out for coffee in Portland, all of the things. And here we are. I remember being in Quebec and you sending me the logo that we were going to use and getting so excited about it.
Yeah, all of my memories on Facebook when we were like hinting at something starting with like the vague picture of a laptop open. Those are all popping up in my memories now. And it's still wild to me that it's been a whole year of content, a whole year of learning, a whole year of just great conversations. And I'm really proud of us.
Yeah, me too. I am proud that we did it because it was a lot of years before talking about we should just make a podcast. And here we are.
I agree. What has been your favorite episode?
I feel like I've had so many, but I really liked in season 2 where we talked about finding balance and rhythm in life, and just kind of feeling like you're playing that giant game of Jenga and you're trying to figure out like the next piece to pull out. I just really like that. And one of the takeaways that I had from it was, we talked a lot about finding balance and providing structure and foundation in our lives, and then rhythm giving us the flexibility to rearrange and adapt when those routines constantly shift. So building the framework for rhythm to exist within.
Yeah, that was a really great conversation. And it was so helpful to like kind of see both things, right? Like you've got a framework which feels much more sturdy, whereas a rhythm is a little bit more fluid, and talking through like how some people lean more towards a framework where it has to be very rigid and boxy, where others of us, like myself, much prefer a rhythm that is a little bit more fluid and can go with the flow based on where you're at in life. And that was a really fun conversation.
Yeah, I really liked it. What about you? What was your favorite?
I think mine was the avoidance theory. When we talked about like why do we avoid the things that we dislike so much, and reframing our mindset to be less negative and more positive. So like when I was struggling with shaming myself for not keeping the house as clean as I want to, but reframing it into a sense of gratitude, like I get to do this and take care of my family. And there have been seasons that have been really hard or I couldn't do that. Um,
Yeah.
and so that conversation was really helpful and just really eye opening that like how we think about something can change and that
Hmm.
can change our perspective on so much. Um,
Yeah.
and so that was probably one of my favorites for sure.
I love that one. Yeah, absolutely. I think reframing our mindset and the way we think about things is so important, and especially in that topic alone, right? Like it's so good for our mental health too to reframe the conversation.
Yeah. And it's crazy how like and not to rehash the whole episode again, but there's just so much you could talk about with it. But it's also crazy how like that also brings um a more positive outlook to life. Like even in my own life, I had to reshape how I think about winter. And I know that sounds silly, but for most of my 20s, I was really upset all winter long. And
Hmm.
that made winter such a dreadful season, even though it's already dreadful. And
Yeah.
when I decided I'm going to learn to embrace this season, regardless of how much snow we get, because we're choosing to live here, like how I think about winter has really changed over the years. And I don't feel upset and like gross inside. I'm just like more content with it. And I think that that's because of how I changed how I think.
Yeah. No, I love that so much. If you had to pick an episode that was maybe the hardest one for us to record, what would you say?
Oof. I think it was that two-part series when we talked about fractures in friendships and
Yep.
the family ties. That one
Hmm.
was, both of those were really hard to talk about.
I agree. In full transparency, we may have even shared it on the episode, re-recorded it, didn't release it, re-recorded it, came back together and said, no, this doesn't feel right. And we
Yep.
felt like we were dancing around the topic because it's a real topic for us that we live out daily in
Yeah.
some of our relationships.
Yeah. And it's hard to know how much is too much and like being transparent and vulnerable versus still keeping a sense of uh what's the word?
I
Anyway,
can't
like
say it, but I know what you're saying, but I'm not going to
yeah,
stutter.
yeah, no. So, like just keeping like still a little bit of a boundary around it. I don't know. It was it was difficult to try to figure out how to say it well so that it translates but also still hits on the points.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to respect the person at the end of the day that maybe would be listening to this and wonder, are they talking about me? But keeping it broad enough that this is real life that I'm walking through and it's affected me and it's hurt me or it's affected how I view relationships and I'm healing from that, and be as transparent as possible, but only from my point of view and not speak from another person's place.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that you did that really well.
Thanks. I think you did too.
Thanks.
But I agree. That one was probably one of the hardest ones. I would also throw out there it's okay to not be okay.
That was
Um,
my second thought too. Get out of my head, Lindsay.
it was hard to really talk about. We talked about grief, we talked about anxiety, we talked about depression. I was just freshly dealing with my therapist saying, "Yeah, you have some OCD tendencies here," you know.
Mhm.
But talking about it in the pod was the place that I kind of was like, "Okay, that's real life and I need to accept that." And you know what? I still deal with it today, but I've accepted it a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am still working through my own depression journey, right?
Mhm.
I'll say that this year has been much, much better than the year before. And so to record something like that, that you're still navigating so
Yeah.
fresh, like you said, like um, it is really vulnerable to just talk about that. But our heart behind it has always been like, if it can help someone else not feel alone or not feel discouraged because that's where they are, like that's why we wanted to share it. And it doesn't make it less difficult for us, but it at least gives us the why behind why we want to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And if you could replay one moment from our first year, what would it be?
Oh, there's so many. We've had some really great conversations, and maybe someday we'll release some of our bloopers from like episodes that were never released. But oh gosh, I think my one of my favorite fun episodes that we did was the Christmas episode last year, where we
Mhm.
learned so much about each other that apparently we didn't know, and battled to the death about which Grinch was the best. Um,
Yes.
we're still gonna agree to disagree on that.
It's Jim
And
Carrey, in case anyone's
it's not, but it's
wondering.
fine. It's fine. So I think that that was probably one of my favorites. Just
Mhm.
because we I've genuinely learned new things about you. So
That's great. I love it. Yeah,
what was yours?
I love those fun little ones. And okay, I have the worst memory ever, full transparency. So I can't remember if it was the Christmas episode or our Galentine's Day episode where we talked about breakfast.
That was Valentine's Day for brunch. Yeah.
And I confess that I don't actually like eggs, I think is what we came up with. But that was just such a fun episode, as we
Agreed.
talked through things. I do
That was
like
a
eggs.
really fun one. It was too
They
bready and too eggy and
Yeah. Oh, right, 'cause I can't have pancakes because 'cause they're too bready, but waffles are fine because 'cause they're airy. I don't know.
oh my
Yeah.
goodness. That's wild.
Oh, too funny. Well, we learned a lot about each other, and have we learned anything about podcasting this year that maybe surprised us?
I would say, what didn't we learn about podcasting that surprised us?
Fair, fair. You
I
know
think, oh, go ahead. You go
No, go
first.
ahead.
I was just going to say that I've been surprised to watch how trending happens. Like something that we don't feel like super confident about will trend really well, but then
Mhm.
things that we're super pumped about don't trend at all. And I don't
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah, I've learned not to pay attention to the numbers because my heart can't handle it sometimes. I'm just
Sometimes
kidding.
it's true.
But there are days where I'm like, "You're right." I would jump on and be like, "Man, we had such a good recording. I can't wait for this episode to release." And then I'm like, "We've had 0 views today." And what happens in the WWs that this is happening in the World
Right.
Wide Web?
Yeah.
But eventually they do come up and it's fine. It's just it can be one of those things where I've learned that I can't focus on the numbers, because we've said from day one, this is just two friends hanging out and talking about life together and enjoying it. And sometimes if I focus too much on the numbers, I forget about that piece. But I truly, if nobody listened, I'm thankful that we have a platform that we come together and just talk and laugh. And we usually have 5 or 10 minutes before or 5 or 10 minutes after every other week together where we're
Yeah.
talking.
And
Yeah.
my favorite part about that has been I my brain. I lost it.
It's
You said
gone.
something. It's gone. Anyway, I agree with you.
Your favorite part is that you get to talk to me every other
every
week,
every other week.
face to face, not just
Face to
text.
face. I was gonna say, but we do talk every day almost. So
We do talk almost every day. Yeah. Yeah. Usually through text, but this is always nice.
agreed.
All right.
Oh, I
Do
know
you
what it
have a
was.
Oh, go. Share.
That there have been times that we've both been like, I'm so tired when we wanted to
Mhm.
record. But as we start talking, we both come to life. And
Yeah.
I've loved those nights where we're like, I'm not even sure if I can do this right now. And
Yeah.
we just start talking, and it's so life-giving and exciting that we just like energize each other, I guess.
Yeah. No, literally, like, some nights I think that you're my battery. Tonight is that night for me too. I had a really rough conversation before I jumped on this call, and
Yeah.
full transparency for our listeners, I'll share it. My grandfather isn't doing too hot, too great, and I FaceTimed with him, and it was a really it's always a sad, like, nostalgic, "Oh, I wish I could be there and hold him and hug him and love him." But I'm so thankful for technology, but as he's getting older and in the nursing home, it's hitting harder that our days with our family is limited, right? And so I was just feeling my feels before I jumped on this call after FaceTiming with him. But this has been
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Do you have a bold prediction for what you'd like to see the podcast a year from now become?
Oh man. I don't have any predictions per se. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully some goals attained, right? Like,
Yeah.
and we're going to talk about that closer to the new year. But I do think that maybe a rebrand might be in our future for our logo. I think we've learned a lot about podcasting and who we are. And I think we want our logo to reflect that a little bit more. So I'm excited to see what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I can't wait. I know we both have ideas, and I can't wait for us to just sit down and really put those on paper and see what it looks like and come to life. I love our logo now. It's bold, it's bright, it's colorful, and I think that's what we wanted to represent on there. And we're going to continue to represent that, but I think in a way that actually fits who we are.
Reflects who we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it's all been part of the learning process, right? Like we've never done this before. And so going into it, we knew we needed a logo and we said, sure, this looks great. And now that we know more of what we want to express, we can have a logo that reflects that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would be yours, like your prediction for the next year?
That we're gonna make it through another year. No, that sounds negative, but
We're
but
going to trudge
that
through, guys.
right? No, that it's gonna be a I don't know how to say it without sounding negative, and I don't mean it to sound negative, but I think we've learned so much over this past year that I think that we're only getting smoother, right? When we
Yeah.
first started, the amount of editing that you had to do to get a solid sentence out of us, the amount of flubs that I had and faces that I made, we could have never zoomed. It wouldn't have worked. But we learned each other's style, and we still have moments where we maybe cut the other person off because there's a lag on the internet or whatever. But I think that we've found our groove where our conversations flow a lot smoother. We
Mhm.
learned that we are not script girlies. We can't plan out what we're going to say. We tried that. We tried to have points and thoughts that were clear, but then they were just jumbled when we tried to say them, or we sounded like robots.
And super awkward transitions because we're trying to read the notes and
Yes. So I think that I really think that we're stepping into this next year smoother. I do think that I think 2026 will be a smoother year for us. Of course, I hope to see more traction and be up there in the numbers. But at the end of the day, like what I really care about more than anything is that we define who we are and that it is represented through our podcast. And Two Maine Friends isn't going anywhere. That's not what we're rebranding. We're just rebranding the style of what that looks like.
yeah.
And so we want to make sure that it fits us. And so I want that to be carried out throughout. That's my bold prediction is that we're going to carry out what we started and
Mhm.
really make it who we are.
Yeah. And I'm excited about that too because I think again, like we've already just said, it's just going to um, exemplify more clearly who we are as a podcast. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. One thing that I thought about the other day was that we talked about when we started this podcast, we were going to talk about friendship and how to be a good friend and what to be like, what it means to be a good friend. And we covered those things, right? In the very beginning, how to make friends, how awkward it can be, maintaining those friends, how hard that can be. And as I look back over the past year, I wonder, did we actually capture friendship? And we've covered some pretty heavy topics. We've covered some
Mhm.
pretty light topics. And just because we didn't talk about how to be a friend always, I think we did a really good job of being friends that talked about how we navigated those things, whether together or with other friends. And that's what I want to continue carrying into the new year is continuing to have these very vulnerable, transparent conversations about how something affected us, but how having community or friendship impacted us in those times.
Yeah. And I think that is what resonates, right? Because we're all looking for that. We all need to have somebody or someone in our life that can be the sounding board, be the encourager, or be the one that's crying, or be the shoulder for the one that's crying, and we all can benefit from having a relationship like that. And it takes work. It's not something that happens overnight. And we say that all the time, right? Like, you have to put the work in to get there. And just because we're sitting on a podcast having a real conversation, there's 10 years of relationship before this where we did this at my kitchen table, or we did it over dinner, or we did it,
In the parking lot.
in the parking lot, in our cars most of the time, with tears flowing down our face. And so that's what makes it. And so it's easy sometimes, I think, to listen and be like, wow, they have it all figured out. We don't have it figured out, but we have 10 years of experience of, these are the ways that we navigated life together. And these are all of the things that we've faced, and how each other helped the other one through, and that's what I value for sure, with anything that we talk about. And maybe we'll talk about things that we haven't experienced, but we can navigate together and figure it out. And that is always really helpful too.
Yes. So thank you for joining us for this past year. We're so thankful for everyone who's jumped in and rode along with us. And we hope that you'll continue to join us and navigate this podcast with us. That's a wrap on this episode of Two Maine Friends in a Podcast. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. You can also send us an email at twomainefriends@gmail.com. And as always, leave us a review wherever you're listening.